Oh, I was born in 1924, March 7th, right in Seattle. My parents operated a hotel down on King Street. Yes, it was December 1941. Well, I remember the day so well, but, well, I do know the exact date, December 7th, 1941. I went directly to Idaho. I was 17 or 18. I was going to Bailey Gatzert School and was going to be a high school student in the fall of 1942. But I never made it. Our family lived down in near Dearborn, and we were the first ones to go to Minidoka. Well, the train ride was, well, I didn't expect any better, but, you know, these trains were old. I mean, I don't know where they got them. Trains, you know, were, even in those days, kind of getting old. I remember, you know, riding these old trains. They took us to Minidoka. There were soldiers, you know, working, you know, as guards. Well, for one thing, I saw the living quarters, and you know, and there were long, you know, each building had about 10 places for families, and we got one. You know, I can't remember. I'm sure my father was still living, but I can clearly see my mother and my sister and me. There were the three of us then. And it was, when we first went there, it was the deadliest place. But then there's nothing else, so we had to do our best with it. There were many shacks, and these shacks had about maybe 6 apartments. We were just my mother and my sister and myself. There's 3, a small family. It was really funny. You know, each family had a room. They were just built. You know how, you know, new construction have holes in the wood, and they had those. You can good see the next door neighbor, but most people tried not to look anyway. And we could hear them laughing and talking and all those things. It was semi-private. So, you know, some had the wood in there, but then, you know, what child is going to just leave the wood, I mean, the knots there? You know, I think I remember opening one of those knots, and then we made sure my mother said, you know, you know, hang on to those knots because you might have to seal it sometime. You know, the funny thing is I can't remember too much about going to school. I don't think it was very good. My sister and I had intentions of being nurses or, you know, hospital workers or something, you know, and when we said that, then they gave us a job, you know, in the hospital. I was a surgical assistant. I didn't do any operations, but you know, like I was between 17 and 18, going on 18. Boys?
Yeah, did you have a boyfriend in camp?
Well, not a special one. My special one was in the Army already. He was a soldier. I learned, you know, some things about him, but he was, you know, he held back a lot. So, you know, I didn't know too much about that. about his life. Well, I didn't get married till 1960 to him. If there wasn't a war, we would have married sooner. You know, after the war, we got together because his family and my family came from the same precinct in Japan, and they were friends. And I knew that the family had two boys about our age, and my family had my sister Mary and me, you know, both unmarried. So somehow we kind of got married eventually. I started going to Seattle U. During the war, I learned much, you know, about Japanese boys and girls. Generally speaking, I decided that Japanese boys were usually, you know, honest, and they were very concerned about their own families. Japanese boys were pretty good guys. Hayao Yoda, who became a friend of mine, and we eventually married. Hayao, my first husband's family, is they come from the same prefecture from Japan. Not him, but the parents. He passed away, you know, and I went to California and I met another man there that I eventually married, Kyle Asakura. But my children were born through the first marriage. I didn't get any children through the second marriage. Yeah. Since around 1960, that was after the war, my family came back to Seattle, and I had heard some wonderful things about this church, you know, that I'd like to try it. Our family went to the Japanese Methodist Church. Since the war, they have a new name. And so I was a member there. I felt like they were mostly, you know, good socially. I'm sure that the ministers of that church would be appalled if I told him that I didn't find Christianity there. I eventually, my sister still stayed there, but I began to know Irene Takezawa and her husband and family. And they summoned me to come to St. Peter's, and that's how I got to St. Peter's. The sturdiness, you know, of loving Jesus and things. When I went to my first church, they were concerned so much about relationships, you know, between each other. It might be, you know, my ear that was kind of shut down, but I felt like that church was only a place to you know, find Japanese young people. My ear could have been blocked, but I heard very little about Jesus, and when I came to St. Peter's, I heard quite a bit about him, and I enjoyed it.